Have you noticed that your circular saw cuts are starting to slow down, or maybe the blade's starting to drift on you a little bit? Well, if that sounds like you, we're going to teach you how to change a circular saw blade today so you can get your saw working at its peak performance. Changing a circular saw blade isn't a hard thing to do. Most pros have to do this very, very frequently, but you do need to know where everything is on the saw so that you can do it correctly and efficiently. Now we're going to be switching over from this blade, which we've clearly used a lot. Now this is on our Skill PowerCore 20 brushless XP 7¼ inch circular saw that we enjoy using. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the battery out. We don't want to take the risk of that saw turning on while we're working with it. So take the battery out if it's cordless, unplug it if it's corded. Now the blade we're going to switch over to is the zero gravity framing blade, and this is from CMT Orange Tools. First thing we need to do is find where the blade wrench is. So most of the time you're going to find that somewhere around the handle. On this saw, it's going to be right here. It's a friction fit, so you're going to feel some resistance in there. That's normal, it should be there. It's going to keep the blade wrench from falling out whenever you're working with it. Sometimes it can be on the back of the handle somewhere, sometimes it might be around the bottom, but just look around, and if you can't find it, check your manual. They're always going to tell you where it is in there. The other thing we need to find is this button right here. Now what that does is it's going to help us lock in the blade. So right now it can move freely. What this is going to do is when we push it in and rotate the blade at the same time, it's going to slip into place, and that's going to keep the blade from moving. So let me show you that again so you can see. So you're going to be able to push it down a little bit on its own, and then as you rotate that blade, notice it falls into place. Okay, so that's the second thing we need. Now before we go into this, it's going to be a lot easier if you go ahead and raise the depth up, okay? So most of the time you're going to find that release back here. Sometimes it's right over here. It just depends on the saw that you're using. We're going to release that all the way up. We're going to lock it back down so that it doesn't slip around on us. And notice what that did for us. Now we have most of the blade is above the shoe here. We're going to be able to work with the wrench and turn it around a lot easier than if we had the shoe in the way. So that's the whole reason we did that. Which way your blade is oriented determines on how you tighten and loosen this arbor bolt right here, okay? So on a blade right saw, that means when you're looking at the saw making your cut, it's on the right hand side. It's a standard lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So I'm going to fit that in there. While I'm pressing in with my left hand, I'm going to push that forward, okay? And you can see that's released. Once you've got even just an eighth of a turn, a quarter turn, you're going to feel that release, and you can just hand thread this off now. It's okay to totally let go with your left hand. So if you want to have a support hand over here, no big deal. This is really, really loose. And we're going to thread this all the way out. Now on the top, there's another piece right here, okay? And you're going to, sometimes like right now, it's a little bit tight, but as soon as I give the blade a little push, it's going to release. It's just, it sits on top. This piece is going to clamp against the blade. Okay, it's almost like having a big washer on there so that you've got more surface area that's contacting it. It keeps the blade from slipping or having too loose of a connection. Now the blade's ready to come off. So what I like to do is I'll go ahead with my left hand. I'm going to push the guard out of the way. So I'm going to hold that in place. And then I can just slip this out and come down through the shoe here. Okay, that's the easiest way for it to go. Notice a couple of things that are going on here. So one, notice the direction the teeth are, because if I were to put this blade on backwards, the teeth would spin in the wrong direction. Now, believe it or not, there are actually some ways that you can make cuts with that intentionally, but that's not the application we're going for. Okay, so you can either make sure you recognize which way the teeth are going on the blade to begin with, or saws also have a little cheat right here on the guard. Let me clean that dust off so you can see it a little bit better. And there's an arrow showing you, and that's letting you know which direction the saw blade is going to run while it's on there. So when you're doing that, you just want to make sure that the teeth are going into the cut. So then we just reverse the process. So I like to slip this forward. I'm going to bring my blade up through the shoe, slide that in place. Now before I start putting pieces back, there's something I want you to see right here in the center of the blade. Okay, notice this kind of diamond shaped thing that's here. That's called a diamond knockout. Some circular saws are powerful enough, particularly worm drive and rear handle style saws, where they need more than just a circular arbor connection here, and they use this diamond knockout. Standard circular saws don't use it, so just match whatever your circular saw is. If you see that there's a diamond shape down below it for that to fit on, then you need to pull this out. Just use a pair of pliers for it. Most saws, again, it's just a round arbor. You're good to go just like it is. Okay, now that I've got that in place, I'm going to Put this back on. Now it doesn't just go on in any direction. It's slightly oval shaped, so you're gonna need to twist it and you'll feel it slide down on top. Once it's done that, you can give it a little turn there and notice it's not gonna turn on you. Okay, and then hand thread your bolt back on. It might be tempting to grab your drill or your impact driver to do that. Don't, okay? You don't need to do anything other than hand tighten this with your wrench. Over tightening it is gonna cause problems. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're gonna go ahead and hit our blade lock again. I'm gonna spin this until we feel that slip into place. And then I'm just gonna give it a good hand tighten. And that's all that it needs. If you have any questions about your particular saw or you've got some feedback for us, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe since you're here. And as always, thanks for watching.